Well, that was one of the worst defensive and offensive performances I've seen in a very long time. Shout out to the Denver Broncos, but damn. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. And this concludes week 2 preseason game versus the Denver Broncos. And we've been hearing a lot of reports coming out from the joint practice of the Arizona Cardinals versus the Denver Broncos. And for the most part, you heard some good things about the Arizona Cardinals offensively, but you heard some pretty disturbing things from the Arizona Cardinals secondary. Now, let's be real here. A lot of starters for the Arizona Cardinals did not play today. You didn't see Kyler, you didn't see Marv, you didn't see a lot of the defensive guys, you didn't see a lot of the offensive guys, but it didn't really change the narrative of, man, this offensive, I guess, scheme for the Denver Broncos really had the Arizona Cardinals defense's number, right? That's what it felt like. But thankfully, this is just preseason, right? So just because the Arizona Cardinals ended up having one of the worst performances we've seen in a very long time, offensively and defensively, it doesn't mean that the Cardinals are going to go 0-17 in the regular season, right? This is preseason at the end of the day. But the thing is that, like, it doesn't even feel like there was a fight. There was very much fight from the Arizona Cardinals offensive guys and defensive guys, right? On both sides of the ball, which was the biggest concern for me, right? Because the Denver Broncos, they did whatever they wanted to do on the Arizona Cardinals, left and right. It was crazy. You blinked your eyes, and it was what, like 27-7 at half, and it wasn't even close. I ended up catching this screenshot here of the stats for the Arizona Cardinals going into the half. And I kid you not, ladies and gentlemen, this is not Photoshop. This is real. This is the total amount of yards that Jared Stidham, which is their backup quarterback, put on the Arizona Cardinals defense, right? So total yards at the half, 323 total yards to the Arizona Cardinals, 99 yards. Passing yards, 80 yards we got, and they had 239 yards. Rushing yards, 25 yards to their 83 yards. This was a brutal performance, right? A lot of times you want to have things to like take away from specific games, like some highlights, right? Some things that are like, okay, this is really cool. This is definitely something that we can move on over, in a positive direction. Didn't really feel like we had tons of those, but we had a few, right? The biggest highlights that we ended up seeing in this game, Blake Gillikin, our punter, is freaking booting that ball down the field. Like, he's doing a real good job as far as being a punter for the Arizona Cardinals. He sees a couple flashes here and there. I really do like Xavier Weaver as a potential punt returner for the Cardinals. Will that happen? Probably not. It's probably going to be Greg Dortch and DJ Dallas' job to lose, but I kind of like that look. Another thing I want to give a shout out here to is Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett did not play a full quarter. He was only out there for like, it was like, what, 4 minutes, 5 minutes left in the first quarter, I think is what it was. And I think at that point it was like 14-7, if I can remember correctly. The moment that the Arizona Cardinals ended up scoring a touchdown, and it was such a good touchdown. Jacoby Brissett, it almost kind of felt like it was like a seam pass to Simi Fehoko. Nice. It was awesome. It was like 7-7, and we're like, "Oh man, let's go! This is exciting." We got Jacoby Brissett out there, and then the Arizona Cardinals ended up pulling Jacoby Brissett, and then right after that, the offense just went downhill. It was just god awful. Nothing went well. It was a lot of dink and dunk. It was a lot of getting sacked, Clayton Tune getting harassed, and that not to mention the Arizona Cardinals defense throughout the entirety of the game, right? At least we had a little bit of flashes for the offense when Jacoby Brissett was out there. For the defense, they were getting smoked from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. At one point, I kid you not, the Denver Broncos were pinned in their very own five. In their very own five. And they, within 5 plays, scored a touchdown. there was like a 50+ yard catch by Evan Ingram, which I'm sorry, Sean Payton. Did you just say that there was going to be no starters? You had Evan Ingram out there having some crazy play for you. You had RJ Harvey, which most likely is going to be starter probably in the middle of the season, or heck, maybe even the start of the season if J.K. Dobbins doesn't do very well, or maybe a split share. But you had starters out there where the Arizona Cardinals had no starters. So shame on you. Shame on you. And here's the thing, the Denver Broncos, they did not care that it was 27 or 24-0 at half. They didn't care. They did not care one bit. They were still trying to score. They used the timeout when things were bad for the Arizona Cardinals and there was no end in sight. They did not care. They came into this game with a purpose, and that was to win. Now, what are the biggest concerns, right? Because let's be real, the highlights are very, very minimal. When I do break down the film tomorrow and really kind of see what we have to dive into, I don't think there's very much positives to talk about this game. I'm going to be real. There was a lot of bad throughout this entirety of this game. Now, for Seattle Seahawks fans or any other fans of the NFC West that are coming in here and saying, oh, you guys are going to be terrible. This is preseason, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make one thing clear. This is preseason. But guys that are trying to fight for this roster, your second stringers, your third stringers, or fourth stringers, they didn't feel like they needed to play this game. That's or at least that's what it felt like to me. They didn't feel like that they were going to come in here and try to fight for their job. I don't think Clayton Tune is cut out for a practice squad quarterback for the Cardinals. I'm going to be real here. I do not think Clayton Tune is cut for a practice squad quarterback. Would I love to see the Cardinals potentially grab a different quarterback? You know, guys that are being cut by other teams when the 53-man roster cut down happens. I think it's time. I think it's time to really start seeing a different look because Clayton Tune, this is his year 3, and it did not feel like he's progressing in the direction of, okay, you can potentially be a backup quarterback, for your career. No, he's awful. He's god awful. By the time right now, the game isn't over yet, right? The game isn't over yet right now. But Clayton Tune left this game. You ready for this? Clayton Tune left this game 6 of 10, 23 yards. Jacoby Brissett played not even a full quarter in the first quarter, and he was 6 for 8, 57 yards and a touchdown. Like, this is the type of performance that literally people were making me peel my eyes to watch this. There was no highlights. There was no highlights of this game with the exception of Jacoby Brissett in that offense, right? But the defense was absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. And on top of that, Hayden Connor, which was a late round pick, a rookie, he was rolled out. He was supposed to be probably our backup center. He was rolled out. And then Jalen Jones, another cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals, it seems like he got hurt too. I'm not sure if he even went back into the game. He was probably supposed to be our veteran presence. Like this was a bad performance from top to bottom. From top to bottom. Michael Carter, 8 carries, 10 yards. Like, that's unacceptable. Amari DeMarcado had a crazy game in week 1. 4 carries, 8 yards. They weren't prepared. They were not prepared for this game. Simi Fehoko was the best wide receiver in this game for the Cardinals. He had 2 receptions, 21 yards. He had the most amount of yards receiving. Guess what the Broncos ended up having? I'm not even going to mention Jarrett Stidham's numbers because he absolutely destroyed us. Destroyed us. Jaleel McLaughlin, rushing. Let's start off there. 3 carries, 48 yards. RJ Harvey, 3 carries, 18 yards, 1 touchdown. Their wide receivers, Pat Bryant, 4 receptions, 70 yards. Troy Franklin, 4 receptions, 67 yards. Evan Ingram, which I don't even know why he was in this game, but 1 reception, 58 yards. They were doing whatever they wanted to this Arizona Cardinal defense. Now, yes, are a lot of these players probably not going to make the roster in the 53? Yeah, there's real concern with the guys that are playing in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. Yeah, you're 110% correct. But this was happening from the first quarter when we had our second strings in there, and the second quarter as well when we had our second strings in there as well. So you're only as good as the depth that you have, right? Right now, the Denver Broncos have a way better depth chart in terms of depth, quality players on their roster than the Arizona Cardinals do. I just hope we can stay healthy. I just hope we can stay healthy. I'm being real here. If we can't stay healthy, there's going to be a real concern about who can fill in that void when our team looks this bad versus the Denver Broncos. Now, nobody cares, right? It's preseason game week number 2. Nobody's going to remember this. Nobody's going to care about this, right? At the end of the day, I could at least hope that Jonathan Gannon looks to himself and say, I did not prepare this team to play a physical game. We got outbeat. We got outperformed. We got outcoached. I want to hear that from Jonathan Gannon because I'm not expecting a win every single week. I'm not expecting that, but I'm expecting this team to come out here and show out. I'm expecting a team to come out here and fight for a roster and fight for their head coach. And I didn't see that today. We absolutely got whipped. We didn't deserve to be on the same field as the Denver Broncos at all. At all. So, long story short, to recap this and put a nice, beautiful bow on it, I don't want to see a performance ever like this under the Arizona Cardinals, or I'm sorry, under the Jonathan Gannon regime. Next week, even if we don't win it, if we lose by a touchdown, if we lose by a field goal, that's fine. It's preseason. I can care two S's, right? Or two F's. I can care two F's. I do not want to see a performance like this ever again. This was absolutely horrendous. And this reminded me of those days of Skelton, Lindley, right? Cobb, those days where you just wanted to throw your head into a wall because of how bad of a performance this game truly was. It wasn't close at all, one bit. But, ladies and gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts? Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. There's very minimal highlights, a lot more lowlights more than anything. But let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and go Cardinals.